Hello and welcome to Physics with Amol sir. So this is video for class 9 and we will continue with the chapter motion. This is part 4. I hope you have seen all the first 3 parts before coming to this video. Okay. So previously we have seen the concept of motion. We have talked about uniform motion, accelerated motion, and we have talked about acceleration. Okay, and we have seen the formula as well. Today we are going to talk about 3 very important equations which are called as equations of motion. So there are 3 equations of motion. These equations are applicable for an object which is having uniform acceleration. Now you will ask, what we mean by uniform acceleration? Well, basically uniform acceleration is an object when it is moving with a constant acceleration. Okay, then we say the object is having a uniform acceleration. So these 3 equations are for an object that is having uniform acceleration. Okay, so here are the 3 equations. First equation, V is equal to U plus AT. Second equation, S is equal to UT plus half AT square. Third equation, V square is equal to U square plus 2AS. Now what are the meaning of all these symbols? Let us start one by one. V stands for the final velocity. So what is V? Final velocity. Then U stands for initial velocity, the starting velocity. Okay, U stands for initial velocity. Then A, as you have guessed, stands for acceleration. Okay, the constant acceleration. Then S stands for the displacement. Okay, and T stands for time. So these are 3 equations of motion and these are the meaning of the symbols. Make sure that you have read and memorized the equations and you also know the symbols. Now, what is the use of knowing these equations? We can predict the motion of an object if we know these equations. Where an object will be, what will be its velocity, how much time it will require to go from one place to another. All this you can understand if you are aware of the 3 equations of motion. So we are going to see them one by one now. Let's start. Okay, now let us see the first equation. So first equation is V is equal to U plus AT. How do we make use of this equation? So consider we have an object that is having initial velocity of, let us say, 20 meter per second. Okay, these are just random values that we are putting just to understand how we can use the equation. So we have an object that is moving with initial velocity of 20 meter per second. Then it gets an acceleration of, let us say, 5 meter per second square. Okay, we have given it an acceleration of 5 meter per second square. Then after, let us say, 10 seconds, what will be its velocity? We can find it by using this equation. Okay, how do we find out? We will say V is equal to U plus AT. How much is U? U is 20 meter per second plus how much is the acceleration? 5 multiplied by how much time? 10 seconds. So what do we get? 20 plus 5 into 10. 5 into 10 will be 50. So 20 plus 50. 20 plus 50 will be 70. And as we have found the velocity, it is 70 meter per second. Okay. So if we use the first equation of motion, we can find out the final velocity of an object if we have the initial velocity, acceleration and time. Making sense? So this is how we are going to use the first equation. So now I will be giving you some activities. You are going to solve these equations. So I will give you some values and I want you to find out final velocity using the first equation. So in the first case, you are going to take U as 5 meter per second, A as 2 meter per second square, and time we are going to take as 3 seconds. You have to find V, that is final velocity. This is question number 1 and this is question number 2. U we will take as 15 meter per second. Acceleration we will take as 8 meter per second square and time we will take as 4 seconds. Again, you have to find the final velocity. These two questions are homework questions. You are going to solve them and then the answer you will write in the comments. Okay. The other two equations we will be seeing in the next video. Thank you.